Fans of the Horus Heresy, thank you very much for joining me for my first how-to video on building the Legio Custodes Orion Assault Dropship by Forgeworld. So it has been a few days since I've posted much content, or certainly by my normal output rate, and that's because last week was Daddy Daycare week in school holidays for the cheeselets, and then this weekend I was away camping, and those of you who follow my Twitter account will have seen various wood chopping and burning videos. But now it's time to get back to the models. This is the Legio Custodes Orion Dropship in this nice big box. Now this is a big kit. It's got over 70 components, 70 individual resin parts that make up the dropship. However, what I want to do in this video is talk about the most important parts to deal with first, in my view, in terms of getting a good fit on the main hull. What we're going to do is going to get rid of this box because it's full of loads of parts we don't need to concern ourselves with yet, and we're going to slide on this little board here, which has got a select number of parts that we're going to look at. So why am I doing this? Well, when you get a Forgeworld kit, and certainly the larger, more complex ones, you get a sequential set of instructions showing you the order in which to put it together. And it goes through it all, and then you get to the end thing. And these, certainly these instructions seem to be very good. They tell you where everything goes, and they're very clear. They're well illustrated. But what they don't do is tell you, from a point of view of building a resin kit, which is the most important thing to do to get a good final fit. And what this actually asks you to do is build this lower tray here, which is like the lower part of the hull, or this is the transport compartment, and then attach it to the hull. However, what I want to do in this video is talk about looking at the hull components first and making sure they fit properly before building the interior detail onto those, because there might be some bending and heat manipulation required on these parts. And this kit that I've bought is a good case in point, because there is some significant rework that needs doing on the shape of the hull and possibly the lower hull to get a good fit. Right, so let's talk about this in a bit more detail. How do I know this? Here we've got the upper hull, which is kind of like this, almost like this U-shaped piece. And then we've got the lower hull as well, which is like the other side of the U to make a circle. And then that's kind of like the troop bay. And the way this fits is it drops in here, and we've got a pretty good fit straight off the bat here. At the front end, that all fits nicely. A bit of filling required, but nothing big. You may not even see that once the Arachnus blaze cannons are on. But if we look at it on the rear, I'm going to turn this over for extra light. We can see that if I push this down, we can see that this is a bit narrow for this. And what I have to do is I actually have to squeeze it in quite tightly. There you go, you heard that pop then, and now it's clipped together. But that part's now all under tension, which you don't want when you put these together finally. So that then raises the question, is this bowed out? So are these sides too wide this way? Or is this pinched in this way? So other sides doing that as opposed to going straight down. Now, I've cheated a bit here and I've worked it out already. And I think the upper section is pinched in. And if I hold this to the camera, you can possibly visualize what I'm talking about. That might do the trick. If I get my little meaty fingers out of the way, you can see that it's actually pinched in. There's a couple of good visual cues for that. There's, visualize in your mind's eye these two door edges being parallel, but perhaps more usefully looking at these fins on top, and you can clearly see that the fins on top are pointing a bit like that. I'm exaggerating this to illustrate the point. So that says to me that this hull is pinched in a bit. So it's probably happened during the casting process. It's just got nipped in a bit, maybe due to pressure, maybe due to being removed by the mold, maybe a bit of mold distortion. What I'm going to do is I'm going to heat this up and open it up. Now, another way to check that is to take these wing pieces that connect the engine nacelles to the hull and pop them on the side, just to see if when they're attached, if they are level. This is going to be harder to visualize, but I can see that they're slightly dipped down, so slightly doing this as opposed to being quite level. And again, that is because this hull is nipped in a bit. They're angled slightly down. So we're not actually going to use these parts in this demo really, but I just brought them along to illustrate how you can use them for figuring out orientation. So why is it important to look at this before you start building it? Well, the reason I'm doing it this way is the instructions tell you to stick all this together. So you've got the rear ramp, which is going to fit in there. Like that. So there you go. So this is where I see if my hands have octopus-like qualities. You're going to build this tray, you're going to stick a load of detail on the inside. You're going to do the opposite on here. You're going to stick a load of detail on the walls. You've got a bulkhead, and then you're going to slap it together at the end if you follow the instructions. Now, if you do that, then you're going to find, or I certainly would find, that I wouldn't have a particularly good fit. And another great test of the fit on this is to look at the door. And my door, as it is out the pack, doesn't fit. And perhaps this is like the third great test of that. And I'm just going to discard all the other bits. And let's have a look at how well this door fits in here. And we can see that it doesn't. Yeah, it's a bit too wide for the aperture to mount in. Oh, and if I pulled it, there you go, you heard that click then. Well, I just pulled it open and now it's fitted. Now, in the final model, I want this opening, so I'm going to paint the interior. We're going to have some good painting videos on this. But I want to have a nice, easy fit, so I'll put a magnet in the top to hold it. But I don't want to be having to force it in. I mean, that's actually quite firmly held now. And there you go. The whole model is actually hanging off that. Don't try that at home, folks. So if it drops, it might smash your £275 model on the floor. That's just a little demonstration to show how tightly that was holding. What we need to do is we need to heat this upper hull section up and then gently tease it apart a bit just to get that fit. So we're going to pause for a moment now. I'm going to go boil some water up, put it in a large baking tray, and then we're going to do that. So back soon. Okay then, I've got a large Pyrex dish. Good for holding the heat in from the water, particularly when you're going to be losing a lot of heat. Just check the fit. So it holds the upper hull nicely. And then we've got a kettle of freshly boiled hot water. So I'm going to carefully pour that in. Obviously, if you're doing this at home, be mindful when you're using large quantities of freshly boiled hot water. It's best to do it when you haven't got kids and pets around, I always say. And second, kettle full of hot water. This is a big container. So I don't want to fill it quite all the way up to allow for a bit of water displacement of the model. And we can slip that in. Actually, I might put it in that way up. I think that's what I really want to do. Right. So just need to wait while that softens. The reason I've put it in this way up is because I want the bend to occur more in the roof of the model than the actual walls, because that's where the actual misalignment has occurred. I say misalignment, what's actually happened is it's got a small warp on it. Not a very big warp, I mean we're probably only talking about 1 millimetre here, but it's enough with a close fitting kit with clever details like the closing hatch to have an effect. The great thing with resin as a medium is they're easy to sort these out. Now, okay, the flip side to that is obviously you can say, well, with plastic models, you don't tend to get it. But if you do get it with plastic models, it's an absolute pain in the posterior to put right. Okay, so that's got a bit of flex in it now, that's excellent. I'm gonna bob that in just to soften a little bit more. Now, what I will do is once I've got this in position, I'm gonna dunk it in cold water to freeze the parts in position, which you won't actually see happen. But all I'll do is run the part under cold water, so take it from me, that's what's going to happen. So I think we're about there now. So I've got that bit ready, so I've clipped that together as best I can. I've got a cloth ready to dry the part off, so we'll take this out of the hot water. Just give it a quick dry off. So this is quite malleable now, so if yeah, you see that's nice and bendy now, so I can bend that out. You need to work obviously reasonably quickly with parts once you've warmed them up. But a bigger part obviously takes longer to warm up. Conversely, it takes longer to cool down as well. So once you've got it warm, you've got more working time. Now straight away there, having just done that little bit of flexing, everything fits really nicely. And if I can get my hands to hold that properly, this might be a bit tricky. I think we've got a good action on, there you go, got a nice action on the ramp. So that's excellent, spot on. Right, I'm going to go dunk this now. In some cold water. there we go. So I'm just going to quickly give a little bit of a dry off. Now this is always a moment of truth. Once you've got the part locked in position, it's just to hope that nothing moved. We'll know that in just a second. Got the rear assembly clipped together again. My hands are a little bit slippy, so hopefully I'm not going to drop it all. And there we go. There you go. That looks lovely. Yeah, that all fits really good. So I'm dead pleased with that now. Now, interestingly, I spotted another little fit issue. We can see that on the rear door hatch, there you go, that doesn't quite fit. So as we've got some hot water, let's get that bent round now. Well, as we've got a lot of hot water to hand, let's get it bent round now. So I've just immersed the top half of the hatch in the hot water. Oh, no, immerse the whole thing. Let me find a suitably large cooking utensil just to fish it out. Okay, well, these things are, there's some sort of silicone rubber spatulas that this is Leakycheese bought a while ago. Quite useful though. Clever, yeah, clever stuff. Right, that should be, oh, that's lovely and mobile now. You can see that, lots of bend in that. So we're going to hook this back up. Got to do this off camera. I'm quite a good camera ninja, but sometimes I do need to do something off camera, right? So now I've bent it a bit and can see they've got a really good tight fit all the way around. So what I'm going to do is we're going to freeze this in position once again, just like the last time. Often I talk about how you just need to tease the warps and the inconsistencies out of a model, and this is an example of that. As you fit one thing and get the position right and all that, you sometimes find a new thing that needs sorting. And that's part of the trick of what we're doing here. It's kind of trying to figure out what is the most important warp to take out first, and then the other corrections will follow that as you go. Well, I've got to admit I've made a complete mess here. I'm normally quite tidy, but not today. Right, so I think we're pretty much done with this first video about fitting it. So let's go right back to the start. Let's look at here. So we've got a really good fit there. Likewise, got a really good fit there. Interior looks good. Let's try it this way up, see if we can get more light in. Yeah, it looks decent. There might be a bit more filling work to do in there, who knows. There's a bit of a gap here and here. Now, I'm not going to do anything with that for the moment. I'm going to wait while I've got the Arachnus Blaze cannons ready to mount and see how it looks then. If it needs filling, that's just dead easy to run milliput down either side of that. But apart from that, for such a large hull piece, I think that's a really good fit, and I'm rather pleased with that for what was, in all fairness, relatively small amounts of work. For such a large model, that isn't much work to do at all. There we go. So yeah, so let's just have one last look around. As you can see, got a nice tight fit all the way around. Those gaps just because it's not all stuck together yet. If I can get the fingers right. Oops, this is going to be tricky. And then if I can just hold this right, I can just show you that this opens and closes really easily. And unlike before, where I had to jam it shut and there's enough force to hold the whole weight of the model, that's now just an easy, freely rotating hinge. I think that's all for now. There you have it. A little demonstration on how to work the hull of the Orion Dropship to get a good fit with all the components. So the outside of your model has got a really good fit and finish. Everything else is now just going to fall into place on this model, I think. All the interior will just go in, and the external parts like the booms and the engine nacelles and the weapons. So do keep an eye out for more videos on this. There's lots more to do on this kit. I'm only really just getting started. Hope you've found it an interesting demo. Please share your thoughts and questions and observations in the comment section. As always, I'll be very interested to hear what you have to say. But other than that, I would just like to say thank you very much for watching. I'll speak to you next time, and goodbye.